Bienvenido a Piedra Curiosa, the site for Spanish language learning. In the last video, we looked at how to conjugate imperfect verbs with the abas and the ias. Today we'll look at how to distinguish between preterite and imperfect. Both preterite and imperfect conjugations are used to tell us about the past. Preterite and imperfect tell us about the past in different ways. We're going to take a look at the big picture first, and then we'll work with some specific examples. Preterite and imperfect each correspond with one general word that helps us distinguish when to use each one. Preterite is best described as a narrative tense, or in other words, it is used to convey the occurrence of finite actions that have a beginning and an end. For example, the sentence, "The player swung his bat," is a complete action that has a beginning and an end. Imperfect is best described as a descriptive tense. It is used to describe settings or environments. There is no clear beginning or end to the sentence. For example, the sky was beautiful and the tree was green. We don't know when the sky began being beautiful, nor do we know how long the tree was green. We just know that they were. When I'm looking at a sentence and deciding between preterite and imperfect, I ask myself two questions to help me decide. One, does it have a beginning and end? If so, then it's preterite. Another question that I can ask is, how many times did the action occur? If I can answer with a number, then chances are it's preterite. Let's look at some more examples in English to help us distinguish between the two. The market was always busy, and the tourist bought many souvenirs. I'm going to go ahead and ask myself the two questions. Does it have a beginning and an end? How many times did it occur? In the first example, it is difficult to say or to figure out how many times it occurred and when it started or finished. However, in the second example, I know that wherever the tourist bought the souvenirs, the action is finished. The souvenirs have been bought and the transaction is complete. Let's take a look at one more example in English. The sculpture was made of stone, and the tourist called the hotel and made a reservation. Which one of these sentences is preterite and which one is imperfect? Why? Pause the video if you need some more time. In the first example, we don't know when the sculpture began and ended being made of stone. It is probably still made of stone as we speak, indicating that there is no clear beginning or end. In the second example, we know that the tourist made two complete actions. Each one has a beginning and an end. Each one was probably performed one time. This indicates that we should use preterite. Try one last example on your own. If you guessed that the first example should use imperfect and the second should use preterite, then you're correct. In the first example, we don't know when this series of actions begins or ends. In the second example, it is clear that the action is complete. Let's review what we learned today. We learned that preterite verbs are complete actions or things that occur over a finite, definable period of time. We also learned that imperfect verbs are ongoing or habitual descriptions that continue over an ambiguous or undefinable period of time. In order to determine if it is preterite, we can ask ourselves two questions. 1, does it have a beginning and end? If it does, we know that it's preterite. And 2, how many times did it occur? If we can easily answer that question, we're probably going to use preterite. Check in for the next video to learn more about distinguishing between preterite and imperfect. Until then, que lo siga bien.